Well, I just finished watching the latest direct-to-video Scooby-Doo film, Happy Halloween Scooby-Doo, which honestly is one of the most generic titles ever for a Scooby-Doo film. It just is, and it's not really descriptive of the film itself, other than, yes, it does take place on Halloween. So anyway, after the absolute fucking train wreck that was Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island, yeah, this film was going to have a much easier time because it was definitely couldn't be worse than that. And it isn't, it is better than that. But is this a good film? Well, I'm going to try and keep it spoiler free, but when I do start talking about spoilers, and I will give you a warning. So, there are going to be some minor spoilers in this first bit, so if you don't want anything, then yeah, just go off the video now. So, Happy Halloween Scooby-Doo. Yeah, there's a few things in the first literal opening scenes that don't really make a lot of sense. For example, the Mystery Machine is back. They got the Mystery Machine back, which is weird because basically from Scooby-Doo and the 13th Ghost to this film is kind of being a sort of trilogy where the gang basically lose confidence in themselves, lose the Mystery Machine, and at the end of Return to Zombie Island they say, oh yeah, we're going to go and get the Mystery Machine back, and at the start of this film they get it back, only for it to be smashed up and basically destroyed, almost. I'm saying physical attack, but it's basically non-functional, and is never used again in the film. So yeah, A, when did they get it back? And 2, you just brought it back to just destroy it again? Okay. And I'm going to talk about the big thing that was in the trailer. The Scarecrow. Yeah, he's barely in this. No, really, he is barely in this. He is so underutilized in this film. Like, incredibly underutilized in this film. Literally, he is only in the opening scene and then another couple of scenes later on, and that is literally it. His screen time is about 5 minutes. If not that, it's probably less than that actually. Less than 5 minutes of screen time in this entire film, which is really wasted. It is really wasted. So yeah, the gang basically capture him and unmask him in the first 5 minutes of the film, basically immediately after the credits roll at the start of the film. Yeah, they stop him, unmask him. Hey look, it's the Scarecrow, it's Jonathan Crane. Great. Which is such a shame. Because to be honest, that could have been a much, much better movie. Now, there are a few things that I do need to mention, and you know what? I made a bloody list of them. Yeah, I made a list. So, the Mystery Machine is back. For some reason, the town is called Crystal Cove in this film. So, yeah, which is weird, but there's no other allusions to the Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated continuity, so it clearly doesn't place in that long. The terrible, cringe-worthy dialogue in the first 20 minutes. Yes, seriously, they are trying way too hard to be hip with the kids, as some people will put it. Oh god, is that dialogue so awful. These are literally all the notes I wrote in the first 20 minutes of watching it, and I couldn't write anything else. Yeah, the whole point of this film this time around, Velma is really fucking annoying in this film, again. Yeah. Velma thinks that fear is illogical, and she doesn't, get frightened because, you shouldn't get frightened of things. Fear's just illogical. Which, no, that's the complete opposite. Like, Velma thinks you shouldn't be afraid of anything because there's no such thing as monsters. Well, the thing is, your skill should have, fear. Like, for example, if someone was chasing you around the house with a knife and you weren't frightened of that, then yeah, that might be a problem. And if you weren't afraid of crossing a motorway when cars are going by, yeah, kind of a problem. So, doesn't really make sense. Scooby Snacks are back. Yeah, they've kind of been absent a lot recently. The night scenes. This entire film takes place at night. But my god, you most of the time you wouldn't know it because it is far too bright. I will say though, the colour saturation, because of that, is nowhere near as bad as it has been previously. The previous films have been way too oversaturated in the colours. Like, in some instances, Scooby almost looks orange as opposed to being a brown Great Dane. He looks like an orange Great Dane. So in this one, because it takes place at night, the colours are a little bit, more muted. Not really, though. They still are pretty vibrant, and it is still too bright, to be honest. Yeah, Velma's a bitch. And we'll go to the rest of the film, actually. You know what? We'll just talk about it. The main villain. This guy. So yeah, the main villain of this piece are pumpkins that come to life, or appear to come to life, and it initially gave me false hope. It gave me false hope. I thought, are we finally going to get, a supernatural monster again? After so long. Like, literally, the last time we had anything, definitively supernatural in anything Scooby-Doo really related, was Mystery Incorporated, that, they definitively said, yeah, this is a supernatural monster. This, no, we're not going to get that. Spoiler alert, but we're not getting that. And they are just pumpkins. The problem is, so basically, it appears that toxic waste brings these pumpkins to life. And, but the problem is that Shaggy and Scooby accidentally defeat one of them within 30 seconds of encountering one, because they are literally pumpkins. So literally they're just as, fragile as pumpkins. So basically, if you beat the shit out of them, you can bash them to bits, and that's it. So where's the threat in that? They even say in the film, oh well, like, this is the worst monster ever. It's so bad. And the thing is this, but they do later on in the film. They try and justify it, saying, well, there is loads of them. Yeah, but they're not much of a threat in the film. There's one big pumpkin which apparently eats people and turns them into pumpkins, or at least that's what it appears to be. But the regular sized pumpkins, no, they're not a threat. They're not a threat. So I don't know why the rest of the gang, are rushing off. Literally, the rest of the gang, and Elvira, because Elvira's in this film, and two random townsfolk. Yeah, this Crystal Cove is very abandoned seeming. Basically, get in their cars and drive away from these pumpkins, because suddenly the city starts to literally explode and the earth starts caving in. So they all start to drive away, and then they are chased by pumpkins in vehicles, and literally, this is the bulk of the film. No, literally. The bulk of the film is the gang, Elvira, and, a man and his daughter driving away from Crystal Cove while being chased by pumpkins driving a parade float and a few cars. And with the big, main, massive pumpkin driving the mystery machine. And they're just being chased, and that's most of the film. They're just literally being chased. Oh yeah, shall I mention Bill Nye? Well, he exists, and literally his only purpose in this film is to give the gang a temporary mystery machine to use called the Mystery Machine X. Oh yeah, Fred is mostly useless in this film again, because he's just going on and on about the fucking mystery machine. About how much he wants to fuck it, essentially. And then we just get this long, massive chase, which is boring. To be honest, the first half of this film, the first 20 minutes, I was tempted to switch off, not because I found it insultingly bad, or, anything like that. It wasn't like I was angry at it, like Return to Zombie Island. It's because the first 20 minutes were with really cringy dialogue. And to be honest, a lot of it was just boring. It was really boring, the first 20 minutes. And then we have this chase which goes on and on and on. And then we have Velma going on and on and on, how she can't accept what is happening. She thinks she's being gassed again. And she can't accept the evidence at all. And she is horrible. She is quite horrible to Shaggy and Scooby in this, actually. And also, none of the gang believe Shaggy and Scooby when they tell them that they were chased by pumpkins. Yeah, none of the gang believe it, and they just think Shaggy and Scooby were imagining it. No. Come on, you've known them long enough now that usually when they say they're being chased by something, 9 times out of 10 they are right. So the fact that you completely dismiss this, like all the gang dismiss it, it's like, no, sorry, no. But hey, there's a bit of hope later on, because we get Hector actually meets back up with Jonathan Crane, who is being transported in an armoured police vehicle, and he doesn't really do much. There's a hint of a greater mystery that the Scarecrow was lured here, but that still doesn't explain why he dressed up and pretended to be a ghost, pumpkin-head monster. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense why the Scarecrow is here. They just kind of said, oh, the Scarecrow was lured here. Okay, then why did the Scarecrow make it so easy for himself to be captured? I mean, the Scooby Gang, capture him far too easily. I initially thought, oh, this is part of his plan, but no. No, the Scarecrow has no part in this plan. Yeah, this was apparently a trap for the Scarecrow and Mystery Incorporated. Okay. And you know what, from now on, I'm just going to talk about spoilers from now on, because basically we've reached just over the halfway point of this film, and to be honest, the second half is actually decent. It's not great, it's not amazing, but the second half I wasn't bored, I was entertained. At least enough. So basically, as soon as we get to the part where the gang actually, say that Velma says, oh yes, we have to speak to Jonathan Crane, and they have this whole scene where they have to try and get into the armoured vehicle while still being chased by the pumpkins in other vehicles. That's actually, an exciting scene. And there's even a point where Shaggy and Scooby jump on 2 of the pumpkins and ride them like a horse, which I found really odd, but okay. And Jonathan Crane, I thought he was giving some hints, but to be honest, the hints he gives in this, it doesn't really make any sense either. He just says someone's lured them into a trap, and then he gets eaten by the pumpkin himself, the big massive one, okay. And then, they run out of petrol, so Fred now has to set a trap. However, Fred now also uses an app to set a trap. Okay? He uses an app in addition to control drones, and this is important. Oh, and also Velma has a mind palace as well. Like, they treat Velma like she's bloody Sherlock. Yeah. Velma is not Sherlock. Literally, they treat Velma as if she is bloody Sherlock. And basically, they treat her as if she is the only one who is able to contribute into solving a mystery. Now, Velma was always the smartest one. She was always the smartest, and generally she would, for the majority, solve most of the mystery. But the thing is, she wasn't the only one capable of solving the mystery. So yeah. Also, they didn't really give Daphne anything to do in this film either. Apart from, fangirl over Elvira. They didn't really give her much else to do other than that, which, yeah, a bit disappointing. But Fred sets a trap, and that's about the only thing he actually does in this film, apart from, mourn the loss of the Mystery Machine. So, let's talk about the climax. So, yeah, Velma goes into her mind palace and, somehow is able to see the things that Shaggy and Scooby saw that she wasn't there for, because, they were linked together by Scooby snacks. No, that doesn't work. If you're trying to be logical, then, everything must take place in the real world. Then, no, that doesn't work. And the thing is, they stop the pumpkins, of course they bloody do. And then the main pumpkin is actually kind of like an armoured vehicle, which throws the people inside, removes some items of clothing, and then makes a pumpkin of them to send out. And how these pumpkins, if they're real pumpkins, then, how do they fly and everything like that? Drones. There's one problem with that. They smashed loads of these bloody pumpkins. And when they smashed the pumpkins and destroyed them, then the drones should still be in there, because the drones are the only thing controlling them, flying them around from inside. But no, so that doesn't make sense. So basically, the explanation is there's drones inside, but we never see any drones inside, apart from when they're doing, the explanation at the end, and then, suddenly there's drones, even though there wasn't drones there before. What? That doesn't make sense. Also, these pumpkins have, tendrils that they can grab people with. Yeah, a drone can't do that. So, no, that doesn't make sense either. So, how does that happen? I don't know. And also, from this impenetrable fortress, the Scarecrow is not among them and has escaped at some point. Which, okay, maybe he did. But it's meant to be impenetrable. I mean, come on. And who is the villain behind this? Well, it's pretty obvious who the villain is, because the problem is, and it's a problem that a lot of these Scooby-Doo properties have, is that they have a mystery. The thing is, I'd already solved the mystery because Project of Elimination. There's only so many characters in this. We know it can't be the Scooby Gang. Bill Nye's barely in this, and we know it's not the Scarecrow. And there's a hint. There's a flashback near the beginning to the swamp creature mystery. So, and just like, who could it be? The guy who was that, pollution swamp creature thing? Well, it turns out that was the sheriff. Yeah, that annoying sheriff who was in Curse of the 13th Ghost, Return to Zombie Island, and this film as well. Yeah, he's behind it. And he wanted the crystals from Crystal Cove. Yeah. And somehow he had millions of dollars, to pay for all this. Which I don't know why. His plan doesn't make much sense, like he went to prison. But when he came out, he spent millions of dollars. Like, they literally say he spent $1 million on bloody glow sticks. To make fake toxic waste. So it's just like, if he's already rich, then why does he need to get the crystals from Crystal Cove? If he's already rich now, it just doesn't make sense. And the only reason they make him rich is otherwise he won't be able to pay for all this, armoured equipment, the advanced drones and everything else. It just doesn't make sense. And the Scarecrow, kidnaps him. That's the last we see of him, or the Scarecrow. Which is a shame, because the bits with the Scarecrow, they're the highlight of the film. They are literally the highlight. I will say one thing this thing does well at the end, is there's a bit where Velma self-reflects and she says, actually, you know what? I have been horrible to you, and I have been sceptical. And then everyone else tells her, oh, no, Velma, you haven't. You just like, no, you have been horrible to Shaggy and Scooby. And you have been extremely sceptical. And you shouldn't be telling her no, you should be saying, like, if you want to be nice about it, at least say, we forgive you. But don't tell her she's done nothing wrong and that and everything's okay. No. It's like, ugh. It really annoyed me, stuff like that. It really did. It really, really did. And this film is just... It was so close. It was so close to being okay. Just go on the... Like, for example, Scooby-Doo and the Gourmet Ghost. I don't think... the one that came out before Curse of the 13th Ghost, I thought that one was alright. I didn't think it was, anything brilliant or memorable in that, but, I enjoyed it enough that, yeah, it was a fun enough, 75, 80 minutes. And this one just feels like it's all over the place. It kind of wraps up the very loose trilogy that they were going with in these direct-to-video films. But I'm hoping it's just a trilogy. I'm hoping they don't continue with this. But yeah, it doesn't really make much sense within its own continuity, never mind other continuity. And yeah, the tone of it is just kind of all over the place. It really just is. It's just not a good film at all. There was bits of it that I did enjoy, but they were very few and far between. For the most part of this, I was just bored. I was bored by this film. I was bored by the last film as well, but the last film at least gave me more to talk about because it did anger me. This one didn't really do that. This one just, for the most part, just bored me, for the most part. Which is a shame, because the last 20 minutes, apart from the explanation at the end, is not bad. But, oh god, it is a struggle. It is a slump to get through. Like, it kind of feels like it's a 45-minute film stretched out. And it just is a bit all over the place. The plot doesn't make sense. Surprise, surprise. But yeah, this has not been a good decade for direct-to-video Scooby-Doo films, which is a shame. I say decade. new decade to start off with. The 2010s were the low point for direct-to-video Scooby-Doo films, in my opinion. We started off good with stuff like Abracadabra Scooby-Doo and Camp Scare. Yeah, and then we finished with Return to Zombie Island, a complete shit show. And then we finally get this. Yeah, no. I'm hoping maybe next year, we need better writers. We need better writers for this. Like an actual, I don't know, it's just lacking in so many departments, but in times you can see plot points. Like, there could have been there was the foundations. That's the problem. The foundations for an interesting mystery were here. The problem is that the more interesting mystery didn't actually happen, because we'd already solved the bog standard boring one, because they so obviously pointed to it very early on. To be honest, it would have made more sense if Bill Nye was the villain, with the way that the Scarecrow was pointing out. I mean, Jonathan Crane was seeing stuff like that, but no. No, at least, I mean, that might have been a more interesting story, but we didn't get that. We didn't get that. To be honest, if this was just a run around where the Scarecrow was the villain, and maybe it was another Batman, Brave and the Bold crossover, something like that, then yeah, might have had a fun time with that, might not have been brilliant, but you might have had a fun time run around. This is just not it. It is really not it. So, yeah, I can't recommend you go watch this. Just can't. It is a shame, but yeah. Is it the worst Scooby-Doo movie? Or really, it's film? No. But it's just one that you're just going to forget about. To be honest, if you can even manage to slug your way through watching it. But anyway, that does it for this Thoughts on Watching. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.